Welcome to today's video where we should be doing a repair of this J1850 variable pulse width module, which actually should be my first return in the 6 years that I've been making these. This is a Rev A board. But yeah, besides the point, this one is a customer return that it was actually, they damaged it trying to replace the connector, and I'm gonna see if I can get it up and running for them. Before we jump into this, I do wanna mention that even though this was definitely the customer's fault that this was broken, and they admitted that when they reached out to me, I still want to make an effort to fix this because these chips are getting hard to find. So I'd rather make an attempt to save it than just chuck it in the bin. They bought a replacement one, but I told them send this one and I'll see what I can do to get it up and running. And as long as it's not too expensive, just pay shipping and you'll get it back. So we'll see what we can do to get this back up and running. And hopefully it is as simple as it looks. First look at it, it looks like this is physical damage, but let's get this under the microscope and see what we see. Before we get the microscope out, let's just take a quick look at the board itself under the camera, and we can clearly see a lot of damage to the circuit board here. It looks a lot like the customer when they decided to remove the header because they wanted to install a shrouded header that they could use with like a JST connector. It looks like they pried at it while desoldering it, like just put a soldering iron and just pried and pried and pried. So yeah, they really kind of ate up the board there. I definitely have some damaged through hole there. So some of these are just way more open than they should be. Others are kind of clogged. So definitely we can see that going on. Let's actually probe it and see if the customer complaint is true, which what they're saying is the 5 volts is shorted to ground, which I would just guess is damaged to a trace. Here in the browser, you can see the DMM pulled up, and we'll just go pin for pin. First, let's just check and see if this is shorted. 3 megohms is good. And we will just check and make sure ground has continuity. Ground's good. 10K is good on the interrupt. 100K, the Mosey is open. That whole thing's probably damaged. The clock is about, what was that, 1 meg? 1 meg should be good. Chip select, open, probably another cut trace. Reset is 10K, that's good. 12 volts should be open, it is open. And then we go to the actual 12 volts, and yeah, it's not shorted to chassis. And then we go to the 5 volts, and that is in fact a dead short. The 5 volts shorted, hopefully it's not here. Hopefully we take a look under the microscope and see damage to the circuit board. Yep, getting it under the microscope does appear to be telling us the whole story here. It looks as if the traces are definitely damage. I'm actually kind of surprised. The interrupt almost looks like it's got a short to ground, but we didn't measure on with the DMM. Yep, the meso, which we said looked like it might be open, is definitely open. The reset is almost open. Clock actually looks like it might be okay, but 5 volts has solder bridging all around. Even it looks like it might be bridged to the 12 volts, but luckily this jumper wasn't set, so 12 volts wouldn't have ever made it onto the 5 volt line. So it looks like the first step's going to be getting the X-Acto knife out and just kind of cutting away at some of this damage and seeing what we can do. I also see some signs of solder bridging. Yep, there's a solder ball that came out from underneath the IC. Hopefully there's no damage to the IC, because that's basically what we're trying to salvage here. So yeah, I guess we'll start with opening these back up and getting it to where we can put a header in it and cleaning up the pins. See the other side of it. Not quite as bad on the bottom side, just a small amount of damage. here again, looks like prying, most likely. Definitely some prying at the, like, pulling the header out. All right, so with the X-Acto knife, I'm just going to go ahead and try to scrape away at this. That looks like that's probably it right there. All right, it's probably open now. Well, 35K is definitely better than a dead short, so yeah, I think that's probably all it took to at least get rid of the short. So now I'm just going to take some flux, a soldering iron, and some solder wick and see if I can wick up all this excess. So yeah, it doesn't look like we're left with much of a pad at reset or chip select, and that ground pad's a little messed up. On the other side, I think we will be okay over here, and I think we're going to have to run a jumper to replace this reset, and probably, yep, looks like we got a cut trace here at the end of chip reset. All of the traces are on this top layer pretty much. So the good news is everything's going to be up here that I need to fix if I need to fix anything. So yeah, let's go ahead and just see what we can solder back down and go from there. Okay, well, one thing's for sure. This connector is never going to get replaced. This is going to have to just stay on here. I think I'm going to have to run some jumpers, but let's, yeah, I'm definitely going to have to run a jumper for reset. So let's go ahead and get that done. On closer inspection, yeah, that chip select is also definitely cut. There you go, you can see it there. Yeah, that's cut. So we're gonna do chip select and reset for now. I think that Mosey was broken open when we were probing it, but solder flowed across and actually caught it. So we may be working after that. But yeah, chip select, we have to have that for this to work. And reset is useful, but we don't really have to have it. It will work without reset. First, let's just put a piece of Kapton tape down. This should help prevent creating a new short here. I will be putting epoxy down afterwards, but this Kapton tape's just to help me be able to do the rework. I'll probably leave the Kapton tape on there afterwards, but I will be putting epoxy over most of it. All right, so let's get reset done first. Should be the easier one of the two. So first what I'm going to do here is just flow this onto R1. All right, and now chip select's going to be tricky because I have to get all the way down to the chip as well. I don't have a, so it goes from there to there. Okay, so we have the lab power supply set up, set to 5 volts, and the board on there with the little jumpers. Let's just see if it lets any magic smoke out or anything, and then check and see if the 12, 14 volt power supply is working. All right, so we're drawing 10 milliamps, which is as low as this power supply can show. It's probably a little bit less. So nothing crazy going on there. And 14.2 volts, so that's right for this power supply. So now it's time to just set this thing up and see if it can communicate. Okay, so here's the setup. We have the module we just repaired and one of the other J1850 variable pulse width modules that I sell. And we're just gonna make sure first that this thing can receive. So let's send it the RX command. And then let's connect this. And yep, we received data. That's good data. And we can see the data that it's receiving on there just to validate that it is communicating. So next we need to make sure that this can transmit. So we'll just go ahead and disconnect this. Our trigger is clear. Let's do a set it into normal. Okay, and let's transmit, so TX. And there we go, we transmitted. So we've successfully sent a message. So this module is working. Okay, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's repair where we replaced this connector, ran some jumpers, and put some epoxy over the pins. And yeah, I didn't show doing the epoxy, but all is what that is painting on epoxy and using a UV cure lamp. I just did that in case moisture got on the board or something, since there was so much exposed copper. Other than that, it would have been fine. So yeah, I mean, this is fixed. You are kind of stuck with this connector. By the way, for anybody buying these modules, if you're wanting a different connector on it, first I sell them without the connector altogether. So you can buy these with no connectors on them, just because I don't know how everyone wants to use them. This kind of style is meant for, like, if you're testing out an Arduino, you have screw terminals to wire this to whatever, and then you have the header here. But you know, you may want sockets here and header down here. So yeah, definitely I do sell these without connectors on them, and I would recommend that style if that's what you want to do, instead of having to try to desolder it, because it's a little cheaper anyways. I think I charge like $4 less for it without the connectors, because it's less work for me and less parts for me. So yeah, definitely, if that's the way you want to go that way. If you have one of these that you've damaged yourself, you know, you can let me know. I'll take a look at it. But that said, you know, if this chip's dead, I probably just, you know, I just have to sell you another one. So that is kind of the way it goes. I did have one not that long ago where I had one pin that I missed on the solder, and that was my fault. The way I test these is I actually test them without the connectors on there. I have a little clamshell that pushes it down on pogo pins to test. So yeah, that one was definitely my fault. So I ended up working with the guy, just giving him some customer support on other issues for that one, of just, you know, answering his questions. But you know, that was one I would have happily just taken back as a mail and fixed it and mailed him back, because that was my fault. When you sell a product, you got to do some sort of support, even if it's not your fault. You know, it's nice to do something nice for the people supporting you, because you know, these things are not my day job. I just kind of sell them for fun. Help support the community. You know, everybody likes to try to modify these vehicles, but there's not a lot of products out there for the J1850 variable pulse width. So Just trying to, put something back out there to help the community, and I'm glad to help somebody that bought one and that needed help. So yeah, hopefully you guys liked the video. Stick around for the next video. I should be doing some CAN bus related stuff here coming in August. So expect some, maybe some YouTube shorts talking about CAN bus, and then maybe something that converts J1850 variable pulse width over to CAN bus. So definitely subscribe to the channel if that sounds interesting to you, and I will see you guys in the next one.